So as mentioned, it's time to start building our little 2-liter common rail as the Red Golf is outside dead, and we need to get a move on with getting this project kind of sorted so that we have a vehicle that is a bit more fuel efficient than our latest purchase, which I don't think I'll do a video on until after you see this one, so I'm not going to mention what we bought yet. However, I did kind of jump the gun a little bit here and just stripped the wiring harness off of the engine already, which isn't really rocket science for any of you that want to follow this as a build guide or a teardown guide, I guess you could say, for the common rail. So don't worry too much about that. This stuff is super easy to take off, and if you do have an engine on an engine stand that you're going to follow this for, it's really simple. You're just chasing wires and unplugging connectors and that kind of thing. However, I did also pull the oil filter housing and the oil cooler off of the engine already, which is pretty straightforward. It's just 4 10 mil bolts up in here with a gasket and everything, and it just kind of comes off, and as you can tell, it's been kind of just leaking oil. But we're going to continue just kind of fully stripping the engine down so I can get it to a bare engine block to be able to drop it off at the machine shop tomorrow so we can get it washed, cylinder block decked, cleaned up a little bit, and then hopefully order our rods here and get the ball rolling as fast as possible. So I'm going to set you guys up on the tripod, and we're just going to kind of like, I'll show you guys how I'm going to pull this all apart. And I'm probably gonna start with getting the turbocharger off the car, everything on the back side, the EGR cooler, which is still on this motor, and then engine mount on this side, and then all the accessories up on the front of the engine, intake, injectors, all the lines, and then hopefully the cylinder head will come off today as well. So I'm gonna get you guys on the tripod and we'll start tearing this bad boy apart. I'm not really following any guide to take this apart. We're just kind of fully sending it. So we're gonna start off just by kind of obviously lubing up some of these bolts, because this is a little bit of a high mileage engine, and stuff hasn't really ever been taken off here. So we wanna make our life as simple as possible. Starting with the turbocharger probably isn't the smartest idea, because it is a little bit involved to get everything off here, but we kind of have to start somewhere, and I would like to take a big chunk off of the engine. So yeah, we're gonna do that. We'll start with the feed line on the turbo. That guy's already pretty much loose. And pretty much everything on the engine is getting replaced with the stuff from the better lower mileage engines. So we're just gonna kind of DAC everything off. Nothing to worry about. Torx bits. Take the breather hoses off here. Should be able to, there we go. Get the neck off the turbo. So we've undone the bolts for our like the EGR adapter plate that goes on the turbocharger. Those are just some T30s. Take those guys off, get those out of the way. Gonna go underneath now, and we're gonna grab the triple squares that take the EGR off of the cooler. Pretty sure these are an M10, which they are. One up top, one on the bottom. This EGT line. EGR feed line should be off. And we should just be able to sneak this kind of like off to the side, because now we're going to need to grab our Torx bit again, and we're going to need to undo charge pipe on the top, which is just 2 T30s again. Get that out of the way. The EGR feed line out, and now we should be able to pull the heat shield, at least I thought we should have, off of the back of the turbo, which is alright, because I think what we can do now is take the feed line off the bottom of the turbo, which I at least thought we were going to be able to do. But we can now reach into the turbo and kind of lube up the rest of those turbo bolts. But we might now also be able to fully remove the EGR cooler in a second here. We're going to undo the bottom bolts now for the canister, and those should be 13 actually. So that's down and out of the way. So now, hypothetically speaking, we should be able to fully pull the EGR cooler off, so it's just a whole bunch of torque spits. Yeah, so now that's all off. So the tricky part with the next bit is that the oil line is also the engine support, which I don't know if I even have the right angle for right now. This guy down here. So I need to be able to get the turbo feed line off of the bottom. Oh, you know what? I might be able to slide the EGR cooler out. Put that line on. Make sure there's no coolant in this line. Just a bit. Well, now the engine hoist, or the plate is in the way. Okay, well, let's see if I can get the heat shield off of the turbo here. There we go. Gonna use a 1 1/16 just to get that guy off in case you don't have a big enough socket. There we go. Obviously some oil is probably gonna drip out of here in a sec. Dope, EGR cooler is off. And now we should be able to just dack the turbo off here. Everything else is done. I guess we can pull the actuator off as well. Oil feed line is loose. All right, and now the turbo should be good to just do this. Beautiful. Pull the gaskets off. These are all gonna have to get changed. Pull the CV boot, the CV shield off real quick. Should be a 14 or a 15. Apparently it's a 16. All right, so with the turbo and like the EGR cooler and everything off, we're gonna start disconnecting some fuel lines here. Okay, so we've got all the fuel lines off. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna move you guys around over here because we are going to take the like belt drive and stuff off now because we're gonna undo all of this. And this should all come off fairly easy, but we also have to remove the timing cover, timing belt to get the belt drive off of the pump. I don't know if it's the same on like the ALHs and stuff. The timing belt is loose. I guess we're gonna have to take the bolts off the pump anyways to be able to get it to come off. The sprocket off of there, and the gear, undo the gear. I keep walking in front of the camera, I'm sorry guys. There we go. Fueling is off. All right, so the main accessory drive, carrier or whatever you want to call it, bracket thing is all off. I'm now just gonna go and basically clean up all the coolant pipes that are still kind of hanging on the engine just to kind of get shit out of the way. And then we're gonna move on to cylinder head stuff, so fuel injectors, intake, all that good stuff. The timing belt now is completely disconnected from the valve train, so timing is officially out. And we'll do engine mounts, or engine mount bracket. And then we should be pretty much completely stripped down. I also have to pull out the rotating assembly, but I'm kind of just gonna, that'll obviously be the last thing before we can kind of just get this thing ready to go to the machine shop. But yeah, that is the accessory drive removed. So I'm just gonna quickly pull the rest of the coolant hoses off. There's just like the 2 stacked over here, and then this one that I'm pretty sure is just the thermostat, so. All right, so we got the pipes off, except this like weird main one that I wanna call like the crack pipe that goes into the main part of the engine block to thermostat. So we've kind of moved on to fuel injectors and fuel lines and stuff. I've already gone ahead and taken off the all the fuel lines and the fuel rail, because it's pretty simple. There's just 2 M10 triple squares, and then all of the lines are 17 mil wrench, so you can just kind of take those off like as you please kind of thing. I've taken off the vacuum lines on the back. Those just kind of like pop up and then they all kind of like unclip. And then the 4mm Allen bolts that hold in the injector plates, those are all off. So now we're gonna go ahead and pull the injectors out. If you've watched my other video of doing upgraded injectors, it's pretty easy. And like I've said in that video, and I'll say again now, sometimes you will get lucky and the injectors will come out fairly easily, but sometimes you do need a slide hammer to get them out. But because this is a higher mileage motor than the one that is currently in my TDI, I'm kind of thinking this one might require some persuasion to get them out. So just kind of like lift the plates a little bit, rotate them 10 mil to get those guys out. I'm not too worried about dropping the bolts and stuff down into the cylinder head. If you were doing this to put like new injectors or something in, you want to kind of like block off the plate holes here, or else you're gonna drop your 10 mils down. But let's see if we can. Now none of this stuff is gonna get reused, so I'm not like really too worried about it, because other injectors and other parts to put in here. So get these injectors to pop out just like that. Beauty. So that's injector number 1. And we're gonna kind of like line these somewhere. I don't really know how to do it right now, but I'm gonna pull these off to the side. So it's just like obviously rinse and repeat for all the injectors. So I don't need to show you guys how to do each one. So we'll come back once I got them all out. Okay, so we've got all the injectors and everything are out now. So we're gonna go ahead and remove the valve cover. The valve cover, same thing as like most of the other car, is just Torx bits. So it's 10 total, 5 in the front, or sorry, 9 total, 5 in the front, 4 in the rear. And it's pretty simple. You just kind of obviously have to back them out. I believe I've already backed all mine out. So I think we're good. We're just gonna double check. And then the fuel rail bolts are also part of the valve cover, so those come out. Those are just the triple squares that are at the front. Okay, now this is probably gonna take a little bit of persuasion, so I'm gonna start at the back, just kind of give it a lift, see if we can get it to just pop. Just using a trim tool under the edges of the gasket, and we're just gonna persuade it up. And then there we go. So there are some vacuum lines and stuff that we're just gonna kind of leave attached, just so that we don't lose anything. And we can just lift this guy off, get the valve cover out of the way, because this is gonna get replaced anyways, so we can just bin that. Cool, so now, hypothetically speaking, we should be good to pull the head off, but we're gonna have to take the timing cover, the back side of it off. And then I'm pretty sure that's it for being able to lift the head. So we'll do the timing cover next. And then I'll show you guys how to undo the head bolts. So biggest thing when getting the timing cover off is we obviously now have to take the engine mount bracket completely off the car. So this is it's an M12 triple square, or you can use a 16 mil. I'm just gonna use the M12 because I have it kind of handy. And I've already loosened these off, so they're pretty loose already. Dope, there's one. And then you just have this 16 that's on the bottom. Like I said, these are both already pretty loose from what I was doing, so we're gonna pull them all the way out. And then we're gonna take the rest of the timing cover off. Middle section out of the way. So I lied. I wouldn't be able to fit an extended triple square down in here to get the head bolts if I tried, because it would be at an angle. And I'm not out here trying to strip head bolts of the engine I'm trying to use. So we're taking the cam cradle off, which I'm not 150% sure how easy that's gonna be. I think the vacuum pump also has to come off. So we're gonna take that off really quick. So for the vacuum pump on this side, it's just a couple of T30s as per usual. Off, super easy. Cam cradle should be good to come off. So we're going to give it a swing here. Don't really have one, so we're just gonna use the handle. Now we should be pretty free all the way around now. Cool. So cams and everything are exposed now, so I gotta put this somewhere where it's not gonna get fucked up, because this is... So I'm not entirely sure how the timing these bad boys is gonna matter, or whatever. So I'm just gonna try and marking perhaps. But at this point, we don't really have any other options, so I'm gonna also maybe see if I can't kind of like tape them together. I don't know if that's kind of dumb, but okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, lift the cams out now. These have to go somewhere where they're not gonna get fucked up. So now we have the cylinder head, which as mentioned previously, should be good to come loose. We're actually gonna take the tensioner. Oh, I may have spoke too soon. There we go, water pump is out. Now, should be able to remove the timing cover. Okay, we're just gonna kind of leave it off for now because we have to take the shield off of the back of the crank pulley to get it off. We just kind of wanted it out of the way. Get everything kind of off. I think that's a knock sensor. Just gonna get that out of the way. Okay, let's take the cylinder head off, finally. All right, so it is cylinder head removal time. So obviously there is a specific bolt pattern to remove the cylinder heads. So I'll pull that up for you guys here. So well, I'm on the back side of the engine. That is the front. So the front of the engine, essentially on this diagram, is that side. It's essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, no. 1, 2. I'm just gonna go stand on the right side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's do this so that we can be done with the majority of the disassembly, and then I will pull the rotating assembly out here. So we're gonna start obviously with cracking the cylinder head bolts off before fully loosening them, because that's just kind of the way that it should go. So just using a breaker bar. Oh fuck. The whole engine stand is moving instead, and I'm gonna accidentally knock you guys over here in a second, so I gotta move you out of the way. Okay, so they're all loose. So in theory now, I should be able to just use a 1/2-inch ratchet. I'm not gonna dack them off because that's obviously a bad idea. So same same pattern. You know what, maybe I am just gonna dack them off. Gonna get the coolant out of the way. I'm gonna slap some gloves on because this thing's gonna be heavy and I'm not out here trying to lose my fingers. And that's the cylinder off. Very good, very nice. So there you go. Engine is has the valve train completely disassembled. So now we are going to have to do the rotating assembly now, which means that I'm gonna have to drain the remainder of the coolant that's inside of the engine out, because they're obviously inside the engine. You still have internal coolant jackets and oil as well. So yeah, we're gonna do that. This engine looks really good, like really, really good on the inside. So that's a good sign. Very happy, good purchase. The cylinder block looks like absolutely fantastic on the top. Like I'm literally able to wipe off pretty much most of the stuff that is tinting the top of the block or making it look a different color, which is sweet. So we've got a good engine block here. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and drain the coolant out. Obviously gonna have to double check and make sure we have no oil in it. Insulator off. Actually, maybe we'll start with oil and then we'll do some coolant and then we'll go from there. Remember kids, even if your friends sell you a spare engine and they say it has no fluids in it, act like it does and be prepared, because this thing had a full oil pan when I went to go take the drain plug out to flip it over to do the bottom end. So yeah, just always treat it like that. Have your stuff ready to go, because if I didn't, I would have been screwed. We're just draining it, it's almost done. Then we're gonna do the coolant jacket, and that's probably gonna be another 6 or 7 liters, so that'll be good. But yeah, a little messy right now, and then should be good to flip it over and then get ready to do some organization, because we do have a lot to organize. And for the comedic value of the fact that I 100% know this is about to spill everywhere, so we're gonna pull the oil pan off. Everything is 10 mils for the oil pan. So we've been letting the engine drain for a bit here, so it should be good to go. Oh no, there we go. All right, oil pump is off. All right, let's crack some rod caps. Wow. Back these out. Okay, so now we're going to tap the rods out. We could also make this the most Canadian video ever and do it with a hockey stick. So you know what? We're gonna try. The fact that I'm doing this with a fucking hockey stick is hilarious. There you go, one piston out with the hockey stick. I'm gonna take the other two out. My battery's gonna die here in a sec, so I'm just gonna flip it over. Beautiful. And 8 billion years later, the 2-liter block is fully stripped now. So it's got essentially everything off it except this coolant pipe. I couldn't really figure out how to get it out because it's pretty in there. But just looking at the bearings and stuff, they're a little dirty right now, but main bearings are pretty clean. And then now we're just waiting for the engine shop to come pick up the block, and then it'll be going out for decking and then cylinder hone, and we'll put it back together and build that bitch all over again. So super stoked. I don't really know how much power we're gonna make out of this. I don't really want to make more than 300 horsepower because that'll probably be like pretty close to 500 foot-pounds of torque at the tires, and I don't know how much this engine can really handle. It's already at 40 pounds of boost. I'm sure 50 could make quite a bit. And then we also have nitrous to hook up, and that'll be a whole nother gamble with this thing. But anyways guys, thank you for watching the disassembly. Peace out. I'll see you in the next video.